All right, we are on the KYCA Talks program. Good Friday morning. Guess what? Marianne Suttles is not here. Could you figure that one out, kids? She is on assignment this week. She will be back next Friday here on KYCA, raring and ready to go with the rodeo. So thanks for joining us on this Friday morning. In case you didn't hear earlier, we've got a special guest in the house. I'm just going to say right now, this is the sweetest smelling radio studio in the whole wide world right now. A couple things of note very quickly. Over on KNOT at 10:40 this morning, live coverage of the U of A baseball team as the Wildcats take on Coastal Carolina, first round of the College World Series. Live coverage on KNOT here in Prescott. So tune in, 1450 a.m. and on the app on the team1450.com. You can download the app for free. Honest. No residuals, no royalties, no nothing. It's okay. Also, tomorrow morning from 6 to 9 on 93.5 FM, Prescott's Classic Rock, the Jukebox is going to honor Brian Wilson, the late Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys and so much more that he did. 3 hours of Beach Boys music, remembrances, and a whole bunch more. So tune in to the Jukebox tomorrow morning from 6 to 9 on 93.5 FM, Prescott's Classic Rock. Okay, business is out of the way. Time to the fun stuff. And we have Ken Lane, Master Gardener from Waters Garden Center in the house. How you doing, Ken?
I am doing great. I've got Beach Boy songs going through my head for some reason. So
Yep.
I just love that whole genre.
Everybody's got a favorite Beach Boy
They
tune.
do.
Or Brian Wilson. What's yours?
Well, I can't say because I'll offend all the other people out there, but I love the Beach Boys. We play that background music often at the Garden Center. We have this it's fragrance and gardens and hummingbirds and butterflies and the Beach Boys. It's like a feeling, so a vibe.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, glad to have you in, Ken. It's been a little bit. I know you came in with Lisa a couple times.
I have been there. Love Lisa. We go way back. So her and her family, they're great people.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not so bad myself, right?
Okay? You're
not bad.
Very good.
It's been a while. We have been around the corner a couple of times.
We have.
There,
well,
you
you
know?
got to love Prescottonians that have been here, grew up here, went to school here, graduated here, and are making a living here. It's just us. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We've got several things here that we wanted to talk about, but we have a few other things as well, and we want to talk about what you've brought into the studio.
Sure.
And if you're watching, we are doing a live video feed this morning on Facebook and on our website, kyca.info, and you are welcome to call in. Did you catch that? Andrew, did you catch
Just
that?
the folks on Facebook making sure they're like, hey, thumbs up, there we go, make a comment, hashtag Waters Garden Center.
And I'll tell you what, if you comment on the show, I will bring
That's
in a
awesome.
question as well. And also call in 928-541-1016. And okay. I will, Steve, I'm not sure that we're going to be getting to you this morning. I know it's a little bit crazy out there. Steve is our caller to give us an update on Israel and what's going on over there. Do you mind if we take a moment?
Go for it. Yeah,
All
it's
right.
important stuff.
Let's get to the news very quickly, and let's bring Steve in on line one. Steve, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
So, growing up in Los Angeles in my teens, the 1970s, I used to listen to an oldie station called Goldies. And there was one song in particular called Barbara Ann by the Regents.
Oh, of course.
And it wasn't for many, many years that I learned that it was not the Beach Boys, and it was, in fact, the Regents.
Okay. Well, that was a close one.
Barbara Ann reminds me of a song parody, which I have been singing to myself since yesterday, and that is Bomb, 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 I ran.
Yes, we heard that many years ago. That's for sure. That's a classic from the 80s as well. So I guess you've heard what's going on. Have you got any news for us from back there?
Well, I actually predicted it because I know a little bit about the art of deception and the whole BS about the rift between Bibi and Trump. I knew that was all a deceptive move. I mean, that and also the moving of several thousands of missiles from Ukraine, which were bound for the Ukrainians, to the Middle East. Like, wink, wink, we don't know where that's going.
Right.
And there were some other goodies as well, a little Easter egg that told me and I'm glad it is. There's just one more thing I wish the Israelis had done to send a message, and that is each and every one of these ministers and commanders has a mistress. And I wish they had also sent a missile into the house of the mistresses to
Well,
really send a message.
Well, we'll see what
Other
happens.
than that,
But
I'll let you get back to talking about trees, and I'm all about trees and bushes, so I'm looking forward to listening.
Garden Steve, but thank you very much. Okay, thanks, Steve.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, guys. Bye now.
Okay, and for those of you who want to talk gardening,
There we go.
and ask your master gardener a question about anything at all, 928-541-1016. We've got the entire hour to talk about all this. Now, let's go ahead and go back to Ken here, because he's got a load of stuff that he brought into the studio. Lisa's going to be thrilled. It smells so good in here.
Yeah. She's a flower gal, so
So what is this? Are we talking about this is what's blooming here now? Or?
So I brought pollinators are a big thing right now. So it's a trend, especially with the younger families, bringing in the butterflies, the hummingbirds, the bees, helping those things. We just saw our first monarch butterfly at the garden center last week.
All right.
So they're migrating. They're going through now. We haven't seen that many swallowtails, which is our state butterfly. That's the big yellow one with the tails on it.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I think that last storm, something happened where it affected them. I expect to see them, but we can help pollinators. And anyone can do this. An apartment dweller on their back deck or their patios, you can have a pot of flowers and bring in the pollinators. So that's a big trend that we're seeing at the garden center or in the industry right now. And so I brought a bunch of flowers that attract butterflies and that smell good and that make your gardens just kind of pop and come alive.
Okay.
A hummingbird coming into your gardens.
Yeah.
That's like fairies coming
I know.
into, floating around, buzzing, bickering, going, hey, that's mine. No, that's mine. They're going back and forth. It's fun. They're comical. So I think that's a trend as well, not just the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got this one right here. This is a new lantana. Lantana is it's called Lucky Sunrise lantana.
Okay.
So lantana loves super bright hot sun. The hotter the better, and then take a blow dryer to it, and it blooms even more.
Wow.
So it's one that you put in now, and it blooms through sometime before Thanksgiving. It'll finally go, okay, I'm done. I don't like winter. I like the hot. And it fades and hides underground. So lantanas, they're famous down in Phoenix, but they grow equally well up here. It's just down there they bloom in the spring. Up here they bloom in the summer.
Oh, okay.
So there's a different season to it. And butterflies these are actually butterfly landing pads. Each one of these flowers is just attracts any, from painted ladies to monarchs to swallowtails. They're all going to love lantana. And so I think every yard ought to have at least one. I've got 4 or 5 just in those bright, hot, sunny patio areas.
Okay.
And I've got mine in a container. So it just doesn't have to go in the ground. I think sometimes the ground is so hard, we get discouraged.
True.
Just get a container, put it in there, and it blooms even better. So it's that kind of stuff. So Lucky Sunrise. I think, too, you opened up your newspaper today and the paper started to burn. It's like everything's on fire right now. Sometimes you got to unplug.
True.
And just go get your therapy. Just go lose track. When I get really stressed, I'm shopping insurance. My vendors aren't supplying me what I need. All the business stuff. I kind of go, you know what? I'm going to go garden. Put my cell phone down. I lose track of time out there.
Right.
Just playing in the dirt. There's something therapeutic about getting your hands in the dirt. There's actually science on this that goes, it's a stress reliever. So I think gardening is more than just beauty. It's more than just keeping the value of my property. It's actually mentally good for you. My grandmother, just a quick story.
Sure.
She had back then, you go to the family farm. So my parents left the farm, went to the big city, made their way, but they'd always go back every summer to the family farm. It's in Georgia.
Okay.
And so pig farmers, chicken farmers, 1-acre vegetable garden.
Yep.
And my grandmother would have let me take the salt shaker out to the garden, and I could just have whatever I wanted. Of course, you'd help them pick things too, but
well, yes.
in the interim, you could pull up peanuts and pick, okra and potatoes and beans and peas and all these other vegetables. It's a memory I have, and I think the generation before me taught me to love gardening. And then I married into a garden family. So Ken and Lisa Lane comes to own Waters Garden Center. No. It's Harold Waters was Lisa's father.
Right.
He started Waters Garden Center. And so it's just this legacy that we keep going. And I don't know if you met Mackenzie when you were just over last week shopping for your gardens.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Mackenzie is my daughter. And so she's now the general manager of the store. She's training to take the next generation. So it'll be 3 generations, 63 years now.
Wow.
Waters Garden Center has been open in Prescott, Arizona.
Now, Ken Lane is not expecting to retire anytime soon.
I'm looking to throttle back. So, entrepreneurship is gas on your foot's on the gas and you're just go, 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 go. If I can pass some of that and to the next generation and have them go, 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 where I can go, you could do it, you could do it, you could do it. That would be great. But I do I love going to work.
Yeah.
For me, helping customers, talking about gardening,
Yep.
that's a stress reliever. I'm surrounded by the beauty, the greenhouses in the morning. The hummingbirds are just thick, floating around, pollinating all the flowers of the garden center. It's a beautiful place to work. And gardeners they're not stressed. So many folks, I'm getting my car fixed. You're stressed out.
Yeah.
You're getting new tires. You're stressed out. But gardening, this is my therapy session. I love my garden center. This is my go-to place. I hear all these kind of different sayings where it's just it's a stress reliever. So the customers themselves are a delight to talk to. Gardeners love talking to each other about gardening.
True.
There's something about it. So
I see so many people in there when we go in that they're just, and yes, everybody, even if somebody has a problem, oh gosh, I can't make this work. This looks bad. We had a problem the other day. We caught you and we said, we've got mildew on our plant here.
Jason, I can help you. Come over here.
Thank goodness. And that's the thing. A problem can be turned around quickly.
Yeah.
And it's in probably the most beautiful spot in Prescott, to be honest.
I think that's something that a lot of folks that are new to gardening don't realize. Plants, they're living, breathing things. They're not puppy dogs.
Right.
But they're darn close to it. They just can't walk around and fetch a ball.
Right.
But they're a living, breathing thing, and they absolutely want to live. If you give them, you have to kill a plant. You can't they aren't going to die on their own. You have to physically want it dead before it will, or it'll come back. So any amount of care, they just rebound really quickly for you. And then they start to go, they start celebrating, going, oh, you cared for me. They actually respond to touching, feeling, talking, caring for them. A little fertilizer, a little bit of powdery mildew's out right now.
Yeah.
That long, warm, it was moisture. We had that one humid cycle, caused mildew to go crazy. It also caused the deer to have a ferocious appetite. So we're seeing them eating more because I think some of their natural stuff that they eat is not there. And so they're in your yard going, I'm starving. I want to eat something. So they're eating things we haven't seen them nibble on before. I think once we get some rains and their natural habitat comes back, the pressure will be off. But until then, we need to watch and nurture after our plants to make sure those doggone deer and rabbits are not eating our plants.
And javelina.
And javelina, yeah.
And everything.
We are in the forest, so we did build in the middle of it's 50 miles to the next population base, so we are surrounded and we are living in their world.
That's true. We have about 5 or 6 deer here around the station.
Oh, really? Well, you're right here on the creek.
Well, I know. We're the highway to the water, and so we see a lot of stuff. We see a lot of javelina and things, and we try not to have them eat very much.
Yeah.
But the deer, it's just wonderful to have them here. So, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to take our first break. So let's go to a quick break. Remember, folks, Ken Lane, Master Gardener. If you've got a question, I don't care. The only bad question is one that hasn't been asked.
There you go. That's right.
So 928-541-1016. Your questions, your calls coming up after this. And we're back here on KYCA Talks. Phone lines are open, 928-541-1016. Ken Lane, Master Gardener, is here to take your questions, but we're also talking about everything gardening here in the Prescott area. And coming from a farming community in Illinois, we figured out very quickly you can't just stick something in the ground and it's going to grow.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
This is the desert.
Yeah.
And so have you seen a pickup in container gardening? Has that always been a factor here in Prescott? Is it more so now?
Yeah. So the ground is hard here.
Yep.
So that goes without saying. If you ever try to dig, it's jackhammer country, digging bars. So that's part of it. So when you are gardening here, there's no topsoil like you're used to from a farm setting. You have 8 foot of topsoil. Here we had millimeters, and they scraped that off to put your foundations to your house in. So a lot of folks in these new valley areas especially, they're gardening in dead soil. There's nothing living, breathing. There's not a worm any place. There's no mycorrhizal colonies. There's nothing beneficial for the plants. Plants actually feed off of that energy in the soil. And they go, wow, this thing's alive. I want to grow here. You can't reintroduce a foot of topsoil over your yard, but you can modify a hole around that new tree or shrub or lilac or crepe myrtle or whatever it is. You can modify that area and create a little micro bubble. That plant will go, ooh, this feels pretty good. And as soon as you do that, you add some compost, some mild organic fertilizers, the worms just naturally show up. I don't know where they come in. It's like they fly in or something and they just land, but they show up because it's a little oasis in the soil. And now this thing starts to build and become alive. Those folks that are gardening by, flowers or vegetables, they're creating raised beds. So a little 6 by 6 by 1 foot. Generally, the book says you need about 8 inches of soil for tomatoes and peppers to grow. And really, if you had a foot or more, the deeper the better.
Deeper the better.
The more productivity you'll have. But a lot of us are gardening in raised beds. I've had 2 back surgeries. So I can't bend over like I used to. I'm not as limber as I used to, but I still have the passion even more so than I used to.
Right.
So I deal in raised beds. So I'm on this classic mountain hillside. We've dug into the hill to put this 2-story monstrosity in, and we're overlooking the dells, this beautiful vistas. And I've got these layered raised beds going down I flattened out this grade with raised beds, and it is a beautiful place. We were out there last night watching the sunset, and it was everything you would dream about in a sunset in Prescott, Arizona. It was beautiful. Butterflies were out. Hummingbirds are going crazy. Yeah, the waterfall was kind of going. It just felt really good.
Oh, great.
So I guess a bit of insider tip.
Go ahead.
Those folks that maybe want to call in. What's the phone number again, Jason?
928-541-1016. And by the way, we've got just a few minutes before the bottom of the hour. So Peggy, I want you to have plenty of time. We're going to go to you first after the break. So Go ahead, Ken.
Tomato advice.
All right.
Your tomatoes should be actively growing. They should be close to, if not starting to crest, your tomato cage. Okay. If you don't have tomatoes right now, there's a little trick you can use. It's called blossom set. So it's tomato and pepper blossom set. You spritz this plant with this liquid, this mist, and it slows the plant down so it starts to go, I was growing so fast, putting foliage on. I just want to reach to the top and grow. They literally forget to produce fruit. So blossom set slows them down for just a moment so they can refocus on, okay, I'm now going to go from foliage to flower setting. And so everyone thinks it's a pollinator. It's not. It's not liquid pollen. It slows the plant down enough so it can now reset and rethink about, oh, that's right, I'm a tomato, I'm a pepper, I'm a cucumber, I'm an eggplant.
Right.
I should actually probably flower now so the bees can do me a favor and start setting fruit. And so you should be doing that probably once a week right now until you start setting fruit. If you don't have tomatoes on your plants now, you're going to need this. This is something important, or you'll run behind the time. It'll be October. We're seeing our first frost, and you still haven't picked one tomato yet. So you kind of want some urgency right now before the rains come to get your plants to start setting fruit. Blossom, tomato and pepper blossom set. That's what you want.
Yeah, because we got a shock the first year we were here. Boy, nothing's happening. It's June.
Yeah.
The heat should be, and then the rain hits, and all of a sudden everything just explodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's fantastic because the humidity comes, the rain comes.
There's shadowing. There's just there's shade for the gardens.
Yep.
Potential for hail. That's like terrifying for gardeners. All the above.
We did get a little bit of hail at the end of May, beginning of June, just a tiny bit here and there, and a little bit of rain. That was unusual.
It was, yeah.
I haven't
That's
seen that.
like the monsoons were hitting early.
Yeah.
And now it's dried up and it's hot again. We need the heat
Mm-hmm.
to pull those monsoon rains up over us. So we need it to be in the 90s. And then July comes and poof, those thunderstorms start heading out, coming down on us. Yeah, we need that.
We had a very dry winter.
We did, and warm.
Yeah, and warm. And then all of a sudden we get a little bit of moisture and late moisture as well. I don't remember seeing anything like this. Did we see any major effect off of the June rain or anything like that?
I think it took some pressure off of the gardens, so the gardens are looking really good. The pansies are looking unbelievable. These things love the cold, not the hot. So they're still hanging on. They should be dead by now. We should have to put in, I want you planting petunias and vincas and all these sun-loving, heat-loving things. So we're seeing that, but I think it's coming. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we're just a little bit away. All right, 928-541-1016. Peggy, you're first up after the break. And if you've got a question for Ken Lane, Master Gardener, please call. We'll take that question. He really will. 928-541-1016. We're going to take our next break here on KYCA. Stay with us. More from the Master Gardener after this. And we're back here on the KYCA Talks program, 928-541-1016. That is our number. And, of course, we've got Ken Lane here. Ken Lane, Master Gardener from Waters Garden Center over on Iron Springs Road. You're just up near Prescott Tire Pros. You're right next to it.
Louie and their folks are great people. They take care of our fleet over there. So our tires, if there's a ding, Gary takes care of our dings. So they're great people. Yeah, that's kind of the last business on Iron Springs Road. Look to the left, you'll see big greenhouses. That's us. It's pretty hard to miss.
You go to Williamson Valley Road, you've gone too far. Turn around and go back. All right, I'll tell you what, Peggy has been waiting and been very patient, so let's bring Peggy in. Put your headphones on, Ken.
Got it.
You're going to be able to
Peggy,
hear this.
I'm here for you, Peggy. Go for it.
Okay, Peggy, you're on the air. What's going on?
Okay, well, I've tried planting flowers in my yard, but I live right downtown, and I've got two that come and pick up the earth and eat all the seeds. So this time I thought, I'll plant them in a bucket. So I got a bucket, got good soil, put in sunflower seeds, and I thought, maybe that squirrel or rabbit I see will eat him. So I put a tomato wire, them wires that go up. I stuck that in the bucket, and then I got some ribbon, and I tied the ribbon to the wire so it would blow in the wind, and hopefully that would scare the rabbit or the squirrel away. And they came up, and they are about 5 inches now, and all of a sudden I noticed, something's starting to eat them. So I got cayenne pepper, and I sprinkled that in it, and then I put it up on a cinder block to make it higher off the ground. Yeah. What else can you suggest?
Wow, we call this gardening in the mountains of Arizona, so it's an experience. So you're actually gardening. You're going, that didn't quite work. Now I'm going to modify, raise it up. Some ribbons. If you got a flashy ribbon, usually the bird scare tape has like silver on one side, red on the other, and it flashes in the wind. That spooks the birds. Now for pack rats and chipmunks and squirrels and rabbits, it almost attracts them going, look, a flashy, shiny thing. We should go over there. So it depends on what is it that's going after it. Now you're growing, I hear sunflowers. Is that right, Peggy? You're growing
sunflower seeds.
Love it. Such a fun project. That's one of the greatest antioxidant sources for you. We get fresh sunflower greens that people eat. Well, vermins, they like the same thing, going, this is very healthy for me. So they're attracted to sunflowers, not just the flower, the foliage. One that comes to mind is I had the same thing happen to me, and it was the quail were coming in when the seeds were just coming up, and they were under, let's say, half a foot or so. They weren't quite, they were just forming their foliage, and the quail would come in and go, ooh, this is delicious. And the whole covey would come over and pick off my sunflowers. I finally had to cover it in bird netting. So there's actual netting you can buy that keeps birds out. You usually put it over our fruit trees or our grapevines or our berries. It also works on flowers. You put a stake in the middle of the bucket, drape over this bird netting, and it will keep the birds out. I have a feeling that's what's coming after you, and they're doing it real early morning before you even see them going. So it's dawn, and they're going, time to eat Peggy's sunflowers. Let's go, guys! Right there.
Well, I got a peppermint packet thing. Would peppermint keep the birds away or no?
So birds don't generally like peppermint. That's good. But sunflowers are such a strong, tall plant, they'll probably not like the peppermint, so they'll stay out of the bottom of it, but they'll light on top and then probably peck away at the top foliage of the plant. But you know what? This is called gardening. Try it. See what happens. See what.
Of course,
you'll know if it works right away.
Smell like peppermint, but it could smell a lot worse. So, all right, I'll try that.
Yeah, come down and see me at Waters Gardens, or we can go offline and kind of sidebar and go, here, Peggy, let's look at this kind of stuff. I can show you the bird netting, maybe a few other plants like lavender and rosemary that keep birds away from plants. Marigolds are a classic that people use, all the gardeners use often. So we can help you put together a pretty garden that also repels things.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all your input and time.
Thanks for the call, Peggy.
Okie dokie.
Thanks, Peggy.
I had this plant, speaking of fluttering things in the yard. This is called a pinta, and we'll just show that to folks on Facebook. There you go. Can you see that? That's pretty. Does that smell? It doesn't quite smell good, but it sure is pretty.
Mm-hmm.
This is the #1 plant I put in my garden to attract butterflies. It's called a pinta, P-E-N-T-A. Pinta comes in a lot of different colors. This is a mature one, so this is a 1 gallon size. It's up about just short of a foot. It will get about a foot tall and about a foot wide. It's nice mounding, covered in these flowers. But for some reason, it's like the perfect shape that butterflies just absolutely adore. I mean, this is also one that a lot of folks don't know about because it's not a spring flower.
Okay.
It's one that shows up in the summer. It likes the heat. It likes the summer heat. So it needs to be above 80 degrees for this thing to really start shining. That's also when you're starting to see the monarchs, the butterflies out. They like it warmer too. So they're out getting the nectars, and then they'll go out and lay their eggs on the milkweeds. And then the caterpillars come up, and the cycle just kind of goes round and round. So this is really a food source. So if you've got kids, you want to attract more butterflies, put that in a container out by the back patio, and guaranteed you'll have more butterflies with the pinta. It comes in red, pink, white, variations of colors. But I brought that for you because this is my collection of pollinator plants that come in. I'll show you one other. This is one I wish I had this in the back of the truck. I was planning for this morning.
Okay.
I brought the flowers, put them in the back of my truck, and if it's covered.
Okay.
So it was dark, so the flowers closed.
Yeah.
Dang it! Oh,
That's true.
I was gonna impress Jason and the guys, folks watching on Facebook.
Well, it's still beautiful.
This is Starry Night. It's a new petunia. This is a wave petunia. So we've got new varieties of petunias. So your grandparents grew a petunia. It would grow up, then it would flop over, and it just wasn't, by the end of the season, it looked terrible.
Right.
We've bred that out of them. So we're actually creating new varieties. Plants are kind of like puppy dogs. You're breeding different. It's not a labradoodle, but it's a petunia, strawberry, sparkle doodle petunia. This one we bred a red and a white, and we get this speckled white pattern to it. It's called Strawberry Night. Is that right? Strawberry Sky.
Oh, okay.
Petunia. But this one will grow sideways. So it goes up about 8 inches and then flows over the raised bed, over the containers, throughout the gardens. And it's a great pollinator for, I know, swallowtails. They really, really like my petunias. And, it's red, so hummingbirds are going to go crazy with it. So that's another pollinator, and easy to grow. It's just petunias. We are petunia country, and we don't get all the disease that a lot of the Midwest or humid climates get.
Right.
There they get some spotting, some stuff. Here it's dry and it's bright. Petunias love that. It's actually easier to grow them here if you get the soil right. You got to modify the soil. So for mine, I've got a container. And the great thing about pots or containers or raised beds is you can control the entire soil column. So I just put in our Waters potting soil, that's our grower's mix. So we can pull this pot out. You see the roots. You give that plant more of the same kind of soil. They're going to love that. Plants don't like changing soils. It's kind of like if you're coming out of the Phoenix airport and you're coming in this climate-controlled tube called the airplane, and then you open up that door and you hit that first heat of Phoenix in summer. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe people live here. Plants do that with different kinds of soil. They kind of come out and they go, oh my gosh, what did they just do to me? And so if you can give them the same, they just float right out going, oh, this is paradise. I love this. Let's root some more.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to take a call. We're going to take not a call, a break, real quick. All right, folks. 928-541-1016. The master gardener Ken Lane is here from Waters Garden Center. Thanks for bringing everything.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got so much more to talk about. We could talk for hours, but we've only got a little time left. So if you got a question, call in. We'll take a break. Be back after this. Okay, we're back here on the KYCA Talks program. Jason Zinzilieta sitting in with Ken Lane. Ken, real quick, I know you've got columns all over the place. People
Right.
can read the Courier. How often are you in the Courier and other places? Right
Yeah,
here?
I've got a weekly garden column in the Daily Courier, Signals AZ, Press Woman Magazine, Quad City Business News. Basically, if there's print, if there's garden information going out, I like gardening, so I like to share the advice. And so I do a column weekly for the Daily. I do a weekly garden column for my garden club members.
Right.
I've embedded some photos, digital, if you want to research more. Print media doesn't really cater to that. It's just they take it, put it in black and white, put it in that same column in the Courier,
Right.
and then they broadcast. That's what you read in the newspaper.
Yep.
So I've got, I don't know,
Well, you've got the-
14,000 subscribers to the garden club
Yep.
that get it digitally.
Yep.
So it's kind of a thing I've taught at the garden at the college. We teach weekly classes on Saturdays, every Saturday at 9:30.
All right.
Come in. We had 50 people there last week for how to grow berries and grapes locally.
Wow.
And so I taught that one. This week it's the flowers of summer. So we're starting to see some heat stress with those spring flowers. Well, what are things you can put in that love the heat, that will thrive from now through October? We're going over those, and how do you get more flowers out of them? So
Wow.
every week it's something specific that's right for that time. Of course, we'll cover watering. We cover drip systems, that kind of stuff, or animals, butterflies, trees, which are the best shade trees. We happen to know that, and we can help you plant one. And it's not like we're not hot like Phoenix, and we're not cold like Flagstaff.
Right.
We're like this perfect temperate climate. This is, when the rains come, it's almost like a second planting season. You can plant things, and they just take off with new growth. So it's a great time to put that new privacy screen in. If you need to build that, if you're tired of looking at your neighbor in their hot tub at night, things you should not be seen at night, plant a screen. We can help you with that. You don't have to do that. If you're tired of waving a Thanksgiving dinner at your neighbors through their Thanksgiving dinner, plant a screen. We can help you with that.
Thanks for that, Ken. Can't unhear that, man. Ugh. Well, I'll tell you what, real quick, there was a question. You and I have talked a little bit about this because we've got a break coming up in just a couple minutes. 928-541-1016. We can still sneak in a call or two. We've had problems lately with bees. We've had problems with pollinators and things like that. Where do we stand right now?
Yeah, so the native bee count locally is actually starting to trend higher. I think that's because we're planting for the native or wild bees.
Okay.
In fact, the bumblebees are actually increasing. So that's good. Mason bees, the ultimate pollinator, they're increasing. It's the domesticated bees. These are the ones they put on the back of semis, and they drive them over to the almond grove during pollination. They're struggling. They're actually declining. And we don't know why. So we've got scientists on this trying to figure it out. It might be a mite, might be nicotinoids or some pesticide stuff. Or a combination. Something's happening, and it's dangerous. We need bees to pollinate these crops, industrial-sized crops. And so they'll drive 18, 20 hives into a field and just let them all pollinate for a week. And they pick them up, and they take them to the next whatever, the cucumber or melon field. They pollinate those, and it's not just nature doing it. We're bringing these bees to pollinate for us on our behalf. Those are the ones, the domesticated ones, the ones that farmers are using. And it's almost like rent a bee. You can rent a truckload of bees to pollinate your field, then you're done, and you can take them off, and you take them to the next field. But the ones in your backyard, we are seeing increases in those, especially the bumblebees were struggling a couple of years ago. Now you're starting to see more of these bigger, either the black bumblebee, that's a cutter bee, or the regular bumblebee, the ones with the yellow and the black stripes. Those they're increased. They're all pollinators.
Okay.
And we can make a difference. I think you can help increase pollinators, butterflies, hummingbirds, bees in your backyard. They're kind of dependent on us, especially since we leveled their field they're used to. We put our homes in. I think we almost have a responsibility to add some pollinating kind of plants back there. Could be a mimosa tree, could be a crepe myrtle bush, or it could be some flowers, or a combination thereof.
Anything could be a help here.
It certainly can. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, last one, and we've got a caller coming up. So, Pete, hang in there. You're going to be first up when we come out of the break with Ken Lane here on KYCA after this. And we're back here on KYCA Talks. Ken Lane with Waters Garden Center is here to answer your questions. We've only got one segment left. If you want to get a phone call in, you better call now, 928-541-1016. Let's go to Pete on line 1. Pete, you're on with Ken.
Yes, good morning. I have a question. I've got 2 very old, large juniper trees that seem to be shedding a ton of dead stuff like it does every year, but this seems a lot more. Is there anything I should be concerned about?
Yeah, you should. They are stressed out. So the junipers, the native plants, you would think they've been alive there for 500 years. I've got a majestic one in my backyard the same way. But what it was, we had a very dry winter and a very warm winter. Plants are not used to that, especially our natives. They're used to cold, where they can shut down and just hibernate and don't worry about it. And then it was dry on top of that. So they were using moisture because it was so warm, and then we didn't have moisture. So, and of course, natives, you're not taking care of those. They're on their own. They've lived for hundreds of years. So you're seeing some of that stress. So it's resetting. That damage was done a while, months ago, back in the winter, but you're seeing it now. What can you do? So the thing to do now is to encourage new growth. That those dead needles are going to drop. They aren't going to come back. You're going to have to encourage new growth to emerge from the tips of those plants. That's where junipers put that new growth on. So if you could fertilize that with 744 all-purpose plant food, just put some of that around there. I know it's weird to fertilize a native, but it will help them to stabilize and push new growth. Junipers are one of those few plants, conifers, that keeps growing through the summer, especially when the rains come. So if you could fertilize them and pray for moisture. The monsoon rains we're just weeks away at this point. So that will help you a lot. The other thing to watch, we're seeing at the garden center right now, some of the junipers are being covered in this white spider web kind of material. It's called spider mites. It's very dangerous for plants, especially junipers. Spider mites are so small you can't see them. In fact, if you take your cell phone with the power off and just tap a branch, you'll see dust crawling around on the screen. If you see that, very dangerous. They have a scarifying mouthpart. They scrape off the tissue, and then the plant literally doesn't have enough skin left to create photosynthesis. The plant literally starves to death. If you see any webbing, this is anyone out there in the county that's seeing webbing on their junipers or any plant, but really we're seeing it on the junipers. I think it's because of the stress. Come see us. We've got a spray that'll take them right out, but don't let it go or the damage will become even worse. So that's just winter warm. Next winter, if we see this dryness, you might want to take a soaker hose. Just water it once a month. That would be enough to keep that damage from happening on those big natives. Does that help you, Pete?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'll take a look at it and try it.
Awesome. If not, come down and see me at the garden center. We'll walk you right through and kind of handhold you through the process. Bring a picture. We would love to see that.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Pete. Sure appreciate you calling. And good luck to you. Hope it works out. Yeah, I saw a little bit of spider web on one of mine. I better take care of that.
Yeah.
All right.
I've got one plant here I wanted to show you because most folks don't think, this is for my Facebook folks. There you go. Take a look. You can smell this on camera right now on Facebook. This is oh my gosh.
I'm going to have to work on the smell-o-vision cameras.
An evergreen gardenia. A lot of folks from California, from the south, they think, oh, gardenias, that's a southern tropical plant. No, it's a gigantic family of plants, and there's 2 or 3 varieties of gardenia that are hardy enough to winter over here. Okay. So this is one. It's called Star Magnolia. It's maybe knee-high, kind of ball-shaped. I plant this one in a container on my backyard so that I can enjoy it. We put it where we are going to be sitting and enjoying the fragrance. Mm-hmm. And in a container, it raises it up out of the ground a little bit. So you're right there at nose level. You get to see it. It's a beautiful evergreen plant. So this is how It's like 40 degrees today, 22 at night. This plant still looks good. So it's one of those kind of plants. So gardenias, you can grow gardenia here.
Okay. And that is something now, but one thing that I think that we've talked about and that you're stressing, the old rules don't necessarily apply to everything again because things have changed around here.
Yeah.
And so even those who have been here for a long time, the changes may be gradual, but they have changed.
We've gotten a little bit warmer. Here we were a zone 7 2 years ago. Now we're a zone 8. So what the zones are, garden zones, is how cold do your winters get? And they reassess those, so it's a 20-year average. So for the last 20 years, what has been your low temperature? And so we actually have not been as cold this last 20 years as we were the previous 20 years. So last 20 years, we were a zone 7B. That's plants that go down to 5, 10 degrees. They just moved us up a bit. Now we're zone 8 officially, Prescott, Arizona. So, and you got to cover the folks in Prescott Valley. They Paulden, they think they're so special. You're also a zone 8. We're all the same. We're all the same altitude. A few feet matters not. We're all the same. Phoenix is different than us, but we're all kind of a zone 8. So it's plants that can go down to about 15 degrees or colder. I mean, you can zone 5 goes down to 20 or so, but that's where we're at.
Okay. Well, Ken, we're just about out of time. Darn it.
It's been a pleasure. That's fun. I love your show. I listen in all the time.
Well, we love having you. And, of course, with Lisa as well. I know she's watching out there and seeing all this stuff in here. So, but thank you. Once again, very quickly, your website so people can get on.
Sure. watersgardencenter.com. If you're looking, you will find us. We're out on Iron Springs Road, 1815 Iron Springs out in Prescott. Come down and see us. It's even if you're not a gardener, you just need a therapy. You want to walk through a botanical garden and just be wowed by all the fragrance. Come see us.
Well, it just keeps going and going. We went in looking for flowers the other day, and we just kind of got lost.
Yeah.
Ken, thanks for
Thanks
much
for
for coming in, and we're looking forward to seeing you again. Hopefully before the flowers go away and we start hitting fall. But fall's beautiful too. Okay, Lisa Live coming up next here on KYCA. Thanks for joining us, and of course you can see this again on Facebook. Thanks for coming in, Ken. One more look at the flowers over here.
All right.
Cool. Okay. All right. Thanks, folks. We'll see you again soon.